Hey, Scott, thanks for being on the podcast today. I'm super excited about this. Number one, because of your background. Number two, we're a part of some of the same groups that I love being a part of these groups together because that tells you like who we are, who you're around and what they attract and like all the things that we think the same. And then I do like your background too. Like I said, I'm very interested to dig into this. So, Scott, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Man, it's great to be here, David. I feel like I'm with a rock star here, so I'm honored
Well,
to talk with you and to talk with your folks as well. So
I'm excited because when I was reading your bio, you said interpersonal skills, you've got rehabbing experience, wholesale, like you've got quite the smorgasbord of experience in your past. So let me just ask you, did you start real estate later in life or was there something early on or like did you grow up on real estate with your family? Like how'd you even get interested in that side of the world?
I'm kind of reading into your question here because you're looking at me going, okay, this is definitely an older gentleman. So I wonder how long you've been really doing this, right?
Oh man.
Actually, I started. It was really out of need just to supplement, income,
Okay.
and some of that has to do with my background
What
and
stage of life?
so it was 11 years ago. So I'm
Okay.
62. So I was in my early 50s,
Early
51 years old.
50s. And what did you do before then?
So I've been full-time ministry pretty much all of my adult life, over 30 years
Yeah.
as a pastor. Started with youth and family ministry. Most people
Yeah.
said I was crazy, but I loved it.
You
And then
seem like a youth and family. Like you have that energy. Like, yeah, I would not have guessed 62. I would have guessed early 50s because like you bring an energy
all right, I'm going to
to
send you a
these
Christmas card
situations.
every year. Every year.
That's all that's all I want. Just
No
just please
money in
send me
the
that
card,
Christmas
though.
card.
So
Right? No money. Just send me the Christmas card. Okay, so youth and family ministries, and then did you become a pastor from there of the lead
yeah,
pastor or something?
believe it or not, they let me say, hey, they're like, man, we want you to just like be the pastor here.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I never changed my shtick at all. I've always had this energy. And
Yeah.
I realize that you can talk to adults the same way that you can to teenagers. In fact, I think it's preferable and really just keep it very straight, very, very open.
Yes.
Young people can sniff you out if you're not playing the game right. I mean, they really
Yeah.
can. So just that transparency and honesty and energy has served me really all these years in ministry. Yeah.
Seems like you've learned a lot of skills from being in the ministry that have helped in the business world as well too, because I love what you just said right there. You put things on the bottom shelf and you shoot straight with people. Do you think
Right.
that that's contributed to anything when you got into the real estate world as well?
I had no idea. I didn't come into the real estate world, David, thinking, okay, I'm switching right from
Yeah.
ministry to this. I fell into the real estate world to go, I got to do something to supplement income.
Yeah.
Worked my wife and I worked hard all of our lives. It was a calling to do what I've done in ministry. I still
Yeah.
get to do some things in ministry. It's not in a paid capacity. I got to rethink that. But anyway, but
Yeah.
even when it was pay, it wasn't anything to brag about. I
Oh,
promise you.
sure. Yeah,
You've
for
never
sure.
seen me on TV doing this. Okay, so we had to do something as I was getting older. So in my 50s, in my early 50s, I thought I got to get another way of getting some income in. And
Yeah.
so I fell into real estate, and it was in that I discovered, oh my goodness, the stuff that I could be doing here. And I made some mistakes, and that woke me up as well. But that's what led me into real estate, and I had no idea that it feels just like ministry. I had no idea that it was going to be really the same thing. I'm just dealing with people.
Yeah.
So whether if they're church people or not, it people are people are people.
Yeah.
People have crisis. They have hangups. They need to have a sense of trust. All this stuff to be able to work with you. It's the same thing in ministry, man.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's really good. So it has prepared you. Now, I know you brushed over, but the mistakes, like, do you mind what do you want to go into that? Do you
Absolutely
want to
not.
go like what? Because I like when people are, they no, he just walked off screen. I'm sorry. No, okay. What happened?
I think I've got to share it
Okay.
because I think we set up people when we don't. First of
Yeah.
all, and
Yeah.
sometimes we get some hiccups. The fortunate thing is, I guess, if you can find someone that you really trust and they've had a huge hiccup, they can probably save you from a lot if you can
Yes.
learn through that
That's
process.
why I love when people tell that stuff because I've heard some things on here. I'm like, that's just going to help anyone going through this at this point because we're all human, but we just like to hide under a rock sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you. I think you might like this because I'm going to talk about the very first deal that I ever did that actually worked out pretty good, but it was purely accidental. So
Okay.
I'm going to own
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think you'll like it because of what we did with our IRA money. So we went
Okay.
self-directed IRA. So a good friend of mine that also came to my church, he and I were talking one day. He was really the technical guy. I'm really not a technical human being. All I know how to do is flap my gums. Really, I have a high EQ, but not really into the technical kinds of things. You don't want me to
Yeah.
swing a hammer. I can do fix and flip, but I'm not fixing. I flip. I-
That's good. Yeah.
so we decided he did all this research about self-directed IRAs, and he approached me. We had a conversation, and we said, "Yeah, let's commingle our IRAs." My wife and I, and his wife and him, and we bought two 5-unit buildings, apartment buildings
Yeah.
that we still own to this day. It's just insane what these things are worth and what the cash flow we
Yeah.
lend out of it with all that, with all the profit that's come in. So I would love to say, man, we were so smart. I might say, we had the hand of God on us that blessed us, but later we had lessons we had to learn.
Okay.
So we did the first deal. Things were great, and I thought, well,
And
let's see,
that first deal was the 5 unit, two 5 units,
two 5 units. It was a
and
big,
that you still
big,
have today. I
yes.
do. Okay. Before you keep going on to the mistakes, I do have to ask about that. The technical guy, what did he have a background in real estate, and did he know that these were going to be home runs and that you would still
No,
own these,
no.
however many years later?
He was international construction. Worked for the actually with the company he worked with. They did U.S. contracts around the
Yeah.
world, Mid East, all over the place.
Yeah.
$1 billion
Wow.
deals. A
Okay.
financial mind. I mean, a really good
Yeah.
financial mind. And he would tell you if he were here right now, he'd be like, I don't know anything about real estate.
That's great.
Um,
So it sounds like a happy accident all the way around with you, with him, with everyone. Now you
yes,
still got it. So I just wondered because I love that. It's your network, right? It's the network there, and
right.
provided that first opportunity because usually that's the hardest, right?
Yeah.
Getting into
Oh,
it just the
yeah.
first time. So
But it was the second one that was the wake up call.
okay, what
that,
happened on the
that
second one?
led us to say we got to rethink how we're
Okay,
going to do this. Okay,
yeah.
so the second one we thought we could do fix and flips.
So you
Woo!
went from the 2 unit. Did you have to fix and flip that, or the 5 unit, the two 5 units? Did you have to flip those or fix them up?
We had to fix them up. Yeah, we had to
Okay,
polish. Maybe I'll call it polish.
polish.
One a little bit more than the other, but because there was all this money in the IRA, it didn't feel it didn't feel like real money. If you know what
Ah,
I mean. I mean, I
yes.
knew that all the years of investing that money was in there, but it wasn't tangible, right? I couldn't.
And how many years ago was this?
It was in 2013, 11 years ago.
Okay. So 11, if that was 11 years ago, you couldn't touch it either, right? Because you were at 52 or what, at that
That's
point.
right.
So you still had years until it could become real money in your pocket.
Yep.
So, okay,
And,
that makes
and, and
sense.
I still haven't touched it to this day. I mean, we're just letting this, and we're private lending out of it. We're doing
Even
all
better.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really,
that's good stuff.
I would not have even known to have done that 11 years ago, but it's because of the other stuff that I learned
Yeah.
as a result of getting hit in the back of the head with Scott. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Get help fast. Okay, so we get this fix and flip. This was a house that we bought it off the MLS. We found it on the MLS. Worked with a realtor. We ran our numbers. We even had a private lender that had talked to us and said, "I think you're not seeing the property right. Your numbers are not right." I went back over it. I thought, no way. I've got this thing figured out. I think I know I didn't even know it was called ARV at the time, after repaired value, which,
Yeah.
by the way, for anyone listening, the
Yeah.
way I look at after repaired value is this way. It just tells me what the top of the market looks like for a house that's very similar to this.
In that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we run all these numbers. We got this thing down. We even put a contingency. I think we even did a 20% contingency. I must have read that somewhere that's what you want to do or something, right?
Yeah.
So we go into this thing. This house was built in 1800. The place was a disaster. We started opening up walls, and it was just none of the place was insulated. I mean, we literally lost our shirt. I mean, we're
Oh.
well into the six figures. Took us years to recover from it,
Oh.
to pay all this debt back.
Yep.
And we did. I mean, we just hung in there, and we just slowly just pay. But that's when the wake up call came in and said, okay, we clearly don't really know what we're doing. We have good intentions.
Yeah.
And I run into people all the time with good intentions. But when you don't know that you don't know, you might get lucky on a deal, or maybe even two. But wait, when the other shoe drops, man, it's going to hurt. And you know what happens to most people? They just walk away from it after. They go,
Right.
"Yeah, that's just bad business," and they walk away.
Yep.
I did was I got help. And since that, I'm telling you, since that reality, and I even have a coach today,
Yeah.
I've always had someone that's further down the road than I am, and it's been worth every dime. And in fact, it's allowed me to now build a real estate company. I didn't come into this for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to supplement my income so that I could take care of my family from when I couldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man. So biggest lessons learned, need help. Need someone who's
Help.
been there. What and then I would say another one too, like it sounds like you had a private lender even tell you, like, I don't know if you're saying this. Like someone who was even there. So it's like, was that also a wake up call of other people that might be in this deal and
Oh,
listening to
yeah.
them down the road too? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Always listen to the people. If there's somebody like when you play out the private lender, so you
Yeah.
got someone who's eager to invest their money to make money,
Yeah.
and you go, "Yeah, I wouldn't invest in this deal with my money.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd invest in it with your money, but I'm not using my money."
Right.
Which, by the way, yeah, we invested with our money because we literally lost our shirt. We
Oh
really
wow.
painful,
Yeah.
David, painful. So yeah, listen to those other people. I think it's about first of all, surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
You have to surround yourself with people that are pro you. And sometimes pro you people can also tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah.
I promise you this. My wife is really close to me. She'll tell me what I need to hear.
Yeah. Shit. There's no holding back there.
That's right. So
Good.
we want to be with good people that really do have our interests in mind,
Yeah.
right? And you want people that are for you, but you also want people that are ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I think even a private lender, if today I was looking at something, and I don't really use a lot of hard money. When I use the term private lender, I'm
Yeah.
working with people that know me, like me, and trust me.
Yeah.
And I promise you that those people, they're not in the industry. They're putting the paper in front of me saying, "Sign right here. I'm ready to go." They don't even want to know what the deal is because they really trust me. I
Yeah.
feel uneasy with that sometimes, and I'm like, "Yo, well, let me just tell you about loan to value." They're like, "Okay, where do I sign, Scott?" So I like working with private lenders
Yeah.
because I can also get a lower interest rate, but there's a lot of flexibility in what I get to do.
Yep.
But if a hard money lender says, "Scott, I'm not investing in this," that's got to be a wake up call.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's big. Sounds like some big lessons learned on deal number two. That does make me ask the question: how did deal three, four, five, six? To like how did those next deals go? Were they
Never,
better during
oh yeah,
while you were recovering from deal number two?
never had, and I want to be careful. I don't want to jinx anything here. Never had a
Knock on wood.
bad deal in the sense that we never lost again. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. Well, there's still some other lessons. Sometimes you get eager and you go for a property, and it's so marginal. I'm like, man, yeah, okay, we didn't lose anything, but I just worked for like $7 an hour. I don't work for
Right.
$6 an hour, right? So, but never back in that situation again. What the mistake we made was so fundamental, but we didn't even know it.
Right.
Just didn't know.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah, and
do
so,
I do like what you said. You didn't know what you didn't know, and that's where having
yeah,
someone that's down the road for helping you get to
yeah.
where they got and then avoid some of those pitfalls, and it's been worth every dollar. That was, I think, really, really good advice because sometimes have you ever seen those posts on Facebook like I'm never gonna buy this or I'm never gonna have a mentor or a coach or like, I could just find everything on YouTube and I just like get sick to my stomach like,
Oh
yes,
yeah.
you can find a lot on there, but it's totally different when you have a person walking through with you. But I think what you said is also really good. You said someone that has your best intentions and is really looking out for you. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, too, not everyone has your best intentions out there. And a lot of people are just like, what can I get out of this? So sounds like you found those people throughout your life
Oh,
over the past 10 years, especially the past 10 years in the real estate world. Sounds like.
yep, for sure. Absolutely. Every dime was worth it. I think it saved me years
Hmm.
and
I
a
hear
lot
that
of
all the
other
time.
heartache,
Yeah.
because I think if I had gotten slammed with another really bad one,
Yeah.
I probably would have said, maybe I could. Nothing wrong with working at McDonald's, but maybe that's how I supplement my income, and get a free meal every now and then.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Good grief. It's funny that you bring that up because I bring that story up when I tell it about, the guy that we've been working with for a while and his CPA. Like, you should have just been working at McDonald's versus your real estate company. Like, if you're going to do all this activity and not make any money,
Yeah,
for it. So, no, thank you for sharing the
yeah,
mistake on
sure.
deal number two. And like, that really helps. So, you got into it to supplement it. Then built a company around it. But then, I mean, 30 years in the ministry, did you ever think that you would have a business like this, or that you would go into the business side of it, during any of those years?
No, there's just so much, especially when you're in that kind of a career as well. That first of
Yeah.
all, education can never teach you. I think meaning formal education. Maybe
Formal education. Okay.
formal education. I don't think can ever teach you what like over 30 years of ministry ended up
Yeah.
teaching. I mean, I went
Yeah.
to seminary, learned all this stuff, learned maybe how to think critically or whatever. But it's not until you sit across the table in
Yeah.
living rooms, in hospital rooms, where you learn an awful lot about people, circumstances, crisis. And if you're really open to engaging people and really wanting to be helpful, you end up having a whole lot more empathy and realizing once you know the story of somebody. 'Cause, I don't know how far we want to go down this road, but it's
Oh, I love
easy
this. This is
kind
great.
of
I
from a
think this
religious
is helpful.
standpoint. Sometimes we can be judgmental in the way that we see things and
Yeah.
the way that we want the world to be and all that stuff. And it's so easy to just paint someone and go, I know what their problem is. Well, sit at a bedside,
Yeah.
with somebody, or talk to a mom whose 18-year-old son overdosed and
Oh,
died, on drugs. And
yeah.
yeah, they do have an awful story, and maybe they made a bunch of mistakes, but when you can connect with that and empathy really comes out, that's where you can really be helpful.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a dramatic story, I guess. But I have found in real estate, a lot of the people that I get to work with, they do have some crisis. They got a
Yeah.
bad story. And I think ministry, so what ministry taught me, not in seminary, but in just
The real
really
world.
really wanting to be helpful, genuinely helpful, forced me to have to deal with people in their story to go, what am I going to do? Am I going to judge it, or am I going to still be helpful? I chose to still be helpful.
Yeah.
And that's really helped me in real estate.
So I want to ask this question. When you sit across from a seller, I see you as someone who probably asks about their history, their story, and really trying to get and dig deep. Would you say that's how you approach it when you
Absolutely.
go talk with
Yeah.
people across, or do you have a different approach? I'm just very curious on how
Yeah.
you approach talking with
Well,
people.
I dive deeper when I'm convinced that I should stay on the phone. So I do have some
Okay.
techniques, and this is part of the sort of the
Ooh.
interpersonal skills that I've learned.
Yeah.
There are certain things I want to get out of the way on the front end. One of the first things I'm trying to determine is, am I potentially dealing with a flexible human being?
Okay.
Okay. If I feel like, I say feel, but it's based on questions that I'm asking. Everything I do is based on questions.
Yeah.
If you could hear some of my stuff, and I record a lot of my stuff, but if I use a lot of loops, a lot of language. Like if you hung around me for a while, you'd be like, at first you'd be like, wow, Scott, you sound kind of smooth, and wow,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you did it again with me and again and again. You'd be like, this guy's boring, man. He says the same stuff all the time. And it's true, which is why it's so easy for me to do it, because I got
Right.
the rhythms down, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm searching for on the front end is does this person appear to be a flexible human? Because as soon as I'm convinced that they're just not a flexible person, it doesn't make them a bad human, by the way. It just means they're not flexible. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That's not the person that I want to invest any more time with, because they're never going to work with me. Because the thing that I really specialize in is
Yeah.
really creative. I'm a creative guy, creative financing,
Sure.
kind of
Which
a
takes a
broad.
lot more talking and flexibility.
It does. So
So
I got to know that I'm dealing with someone flexible.
what are the signs when you're asking people those questions that they're flexible versus inflexible?
So I use very open-ended words. So I'll go ahead and present a possibility of what we could do, and the
Yeah.
kind of words the way that I ask my questions are, would you consider this, or would something like this work for you? So it's not a hard sell. I'm not doing anything that's hard. So
Yeah.
all I'm looking for is feedback, right? So I may throw something out. For example, I may start a conversation and say, hey, typically, usually, normally, these are very open-ended words.
Yeah.
They give me a lot of room to backpedal if I have
Yeah.
to.
Wiggle
Right?
room.
So I don't say we only do this, because I don't want to cut myself short.
Right.
Not only do I not want to cut myself short, I really think I can help a lot of people. I
Yeah.
don't want to cut them short if they don't understand, and give me the opportunity to see if I can really help them, and at the same time help me in my business, right? So I'm
Yep.
trying to do both things. So I may say something like, yeah, so typically the way we buy is that we would buy owner financing. And all that means is the great downplay. I love explaining it this way. And all that means is it's a great downplay. that I would make a payment to you that you and I can agree on, a number that has to work for you,
Yeah.
David. But you know what, David? It also has to work for me as well.
Right.
See, I'm always trying to level the playing field. I'm going to make it about you first, but then I weave me into it. So
Yeah.
typically,
That's
David,
good.
the way that we would buy is we would buy owner financing. And all that means is that we would make a monthly payment that we could agree on. Obviously, it's a number that would have to work for you, David, but it's also a number that has to work for me as well. And so what I wanted to ask you was this: if we can put something together where it makes sense that we could do that and you could take a payment for a period of time, is that something you would consider doing?
Yeah, of course.
That's a great question. So
Yeah.
now the person goes, "Oh, I would never do anything like this. No way, man. What? No, people would never do anything like that." What's my
Right.
chance of ever capturing that person's imagination to then say, "Hey, tell me what your mortgage payment is. Tell me what your mortgage balance
Right.
is."
Yeah.
Right? So I get to field out at the front end. Is there even any flexibility in that? Now, even if the
Yeah.
person said, "Yeah, I don't think I would ever do anything like that," my next question is always going to be, "Okay, David, is there a concern with that?"
That's good.
I'll tell you what, this is what I learned in my counseling.
Yeah.
This is counseling, really. Now, I don't want to overcomplicate it. You don't have to
Sure.
be a certified counselor, but I'm saying when you get these rhythms down, this is how you get people to open up if they really are wanting to do something or not.
Yeah.
So once I'm convinced the guy or gal I'm talking to is like, no way, man, that's just never going to happen in my world. A lot of times I'll actually say, you know what? I think you have me convinced that that probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Sounds like we may be on a different page. Is that right? So I made a statement and I turned it into a question because now I'm doing this. I got one foot out the door.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds like you and I are not on the same page that you would never want to do anything like this. Is that right? And then that's going to let me know at that point. If they say, "Yep, you got it right, pal." Okay,
Then, thank you. We
I
don't
don't
have to
want to
waste
talk
any more time.
about, yeah, I don't want to talk about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I do that heavy on the front end, and I'm doing it relationally, just like I tried
Yeah.
to illustrate here, that it becomes an easy conversation on both sides.
Yeah.
So
Jesus asked a lot of questions.
he did.
He dove into it and told a lot of stories. So I feel like
Well,
there's a lot to take
they were
from his
pretty
life.
uncomfortable questions, though. Sometimes I'd be like,
Oh
"Ooh,
yeah. Yes, indeed. So it was
those
like this
penetrating
is
questions."
and sometimes I feel like do you feel like you ever have to ask uncomfortable questions in the real estate world?
Oh, sure,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's I really like this because I feel like that's very practical. Where if someone's listening to this, yeah, you could take Scott's little framework. That it's so simple too. That first thing is this personable is person flexible or not? You know how you ask or no, you ask questions. Like just ask them some simple questions up front, setting the framework and those expectations. That was really good. I did something else that you said that was really key, and we kept going was you say the same things a lot. So it's like if people were around you, they'd be bored. It's like, I
Yeah,
feel like that's really good because that's really good because you know that you're saying the same things because you know they work and you know that it also helps get to the root cause of what you're trying to get to. So that way, can I help this person or not? Am I a good fit?
yeah,
And you're asking those same questions. So I feel like that's very key because I think people love to be excited in business and keep things exciting. Some of the
yeah,
most exciting things are the boring things of like just
yeah,
get into that rhythm, something that works and ask those right questions. And because that was the other big thing I took away from this, become a master question asker. I don't know, like what that book out there, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, John
yeah,
Maxwell, there's just that there's so many things out there to help you with that. But I love how you said to counseling what is one
yeah.
of the big things that helped you. Do you think that's more because it's just the basic psychology of a human being? Like here's some key things you need to learn if you're going to try and have a conversation, especially with someone who's not open. And like you said that you wouldn't suggest them becoming a counselor, but like where can they learn that type of thing if they're not going to become a counselor? Like how can you learn to really help a human being open up?
They have to hang out with me, I guess.
There you go. Hang out with you. That's a good answer because that takes care of the mentorship and it takes care of the like listen to someone else that's been down the road and who's a really good question asker.
I can tell with my one-on-one clients, and they
Yeah.
get they get. In fact, I'm sort of rethinking it these days because they get a lot of access to me, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of was a lot of effort there.
Yeah.
But let them hang over my shoulder, right? So they hear
Yeah.
this again and again and again. One of the hardest things for newer people is when I hang up the phone. We're 90 seconds into a conversation.
Yeah.
And I've already determined this is not a flexible person. And they're like almost going insane, like, oh, I can't believe you just hung up the phone. There might have been a deal there. And I'm like, trust me, there's not a deal here. But I can't explain it just by showing it once. We got to do it again
Right.
and again, right? Because what are we looking for on the front end? Flexibility.
Flexibility.
Not
Yeah.
really what the question was, but where do you find it? You've got to find people that you know, like, and trust, that have experience, and you have confidence that they know how to do what you and I are talking about right
Right.
now. There's
Yep.
only one way to do it. You got to hear them. You got to see them do it and hear them do it and go, okay, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
I could write about it. There's one thing to write about it. There's another thing to do it. Oh, here would be a great illustration. I could write about how to ride a bike, right? And you
Right.
could say, man, Scott writes so good. I learned how to ride a bike by reading Scott's book on how to ride a bike. That that is not going to teach you. Now, I'm not
Right.
saying don't read. I think you
Yeah.
want to read, but you're going to get more out of someone that you can have some level of access to. You've already used the term like coach or mentor, but
Yeah.
someone that's further down the road than you that you know has some credibility. You've seen them, you've heard them, and you're like, yeah, I could model something like that.
Yeah. Nah, it's really good. And I think you keep bringing up the words flexibility, know, like, and trust. And I think that's where, too, it's you get in those situations and those questions really help you know that I'm not here just to tell you something. I'm here to really dig in of
Yeah,
like what's going on. And then if you're taking those people down the road too, that are the people that are following you and like trying to learn as well too. It's really getting them to know, to know what's going on, to then like, that process and trust that process, not just you,
yeah,
but then that whole process you're taking them through. Those seem like big words in your life: flexible, know, like, and trust. Some of the things that I think are very foundational too, especially if you're going to be in the real estate world and talking with sellers and the people out there that
yeah,
haven't gone through all of this and don't know this world and don't know all that. This has been this that's very helpful, because I think those are very key takeaways that people can actually use. In the last final minutes here,
yeah.
I just wanted to see, is there any other advice that you would want to give the real estate investing community listening to this, and then we'll point them to where people can find you?
Yeah. If you knew the people who knew me, they're like, you're only giving Scott like 2 minutes. This guy, I could go for an hour on this, right? There's
Yeah.
so much flooding that's coming out of me here. But I would first say you got to have enough willingness to hang in there. If you're new at this, and even if you're not, by the way, I've been doing this now for a
Yeah.
while. I don't know what your experience is, even with what you do. There are bumps in the road still along the way that
Oh
we
yeah.
got we got to keep reminding ourselves, man, look at where I am now. And when I look back, I go, man, a year ago I was way over there, but look at where I am now. And by the way, anyone listening, if you look back at the last year and you go, well, I don't have that, I'm right where I was a year ago, you probably really want to listen to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So I would say, don't give up. Surround yourself certainly with good people, people that have your interest in mind. I know I've already said that. One of the things that, at least the skill base that I bring,
Yeah.
I've worked very, very hard to remove all permission language out of my vernacular. That takes a little bit of practice, but once you get it, it's very different now in how you approach. In my case, would be either a seller or a buyer, because I also work
Yeah.
with buyers in long-term relationships as
Yeah.
well. Um,
Can you
and
explain that? Removing permission language. What would be an example of that with a seller buyer?
so I'll do one with just a voice message or a text message that I would leave.
Yeah.
What I don't ever want to do is come off salesy, because I
Yeah.
know how I react to salesy. We're in where our culture is right now. Anything that smells salesy, even though we want to buy, even though we want to sell,
Yeah.
if we feel any level of pressure, we don't want to deal with it. And by the way,
Right.
I don't want to be, even if it worked, I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not
Right.
cut from that cloth.
Sure.
If we can get there through connection and relationship, that's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so removing permission language. So it goes to voicemail. I say, hey, hi, David. Hey, I was just calling about my interest in buying your house over at 123 Main Street. Sorry we didn't connect right now. I was hoping that you and I could connect today. Hey, you know what, David? I almost interrupt myself. You know what, David? I'm going to go ahead and text you as well to see if we can get on a call real quick today, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Click, I hang up. There was no permission in that. I'm telling him, I'm calling, I'm going to text you so that we can get on a call today. Okay. Then I text, very, very similar. I actually talk into my phone.
Yeah.
this. I mean, I get carpal tunnel now.
Sure.
I got so much to say into the phone.
Yeah.
Hey, David, I just left you a voicemail message. I was calling about my interest in buying your house. You may have someone right now going, but Scott, what if I don't want to buy that house? Well, when you see it and you go, well, I'm not buying this crappy house, then don't buy it.
Right.
Just don't
Exactly.
worry about it.
Yeah.
But do that to get them on the phone. And all I say is, David, are you available now for a quick call? Question mark. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
The next day I'm calling back. Oh, I want to do the same thing, but all permission language is out. In that I'm
Yeah.
basically saying this is what I'm expecting you to call me. That's
Yeah.
really what I'm doing. When I'm talking about the price of someone's house, I'm not, or if I want to ask what their mortgage balance is, I don't say, "Hey, is it okay with you that you kind of sort of share maybe your mortgage balance with me?"
Right.
The answer to that's going to be no. I can't tell
No.
you the last time I
No.
got a no to that question.
Right.
I just come in and say, okay, hey, so tell me, is there? I like to give choices. Hey, tell me, is there debt on the property like a mortgage, or is it free and clear? And inevitably, in most cases, there is a
Yeah.
mortgage. They'll say, oh no, there's a mortgage. I say, okay, great. So when you make that mortgage payment, do you pay your taxes and insurance together with it, or do you pay it separately? You and I probably know that 90% of people pay it together.
Yeah.
But this is so I can get the number. They're going to
Yeah.
answer the question. Oh no, I pay it together. Oh, okay. And about how much is that? There's no permission in that. Hey,
Right.
David, is it okay with you that you share with me your mortgage payment? That's asking permission.
Right.
David, when you make your payment, do you pay it this way or that way? Oh, I pay it this way. Oh, okay. And about how much is that? Oh, it's
Yeah.
that much. Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
how you
that's
go.
really good. And that's the difference between asking questions and asking good questions. So I like that. That's so much to learn from here. I love that. You gave hang in there, don't give up, remove that permission language, and really just set those expectations, which is really good. That was really good stuff. So if people want to, because I feel like even now, like I want more of Scott. So what if you people wanted more of you, you do the one-on-one, you do the different things. Talk about that and like how people can connect with you.
I probably would say the best way to connect is just go over to my Facebook. I'm
Cool.
posting all the time. I do reels and some videos. I'm always giving content. I'm always giving stuff like this,
Yeah.
examples of conversations I've already had. Sometimes they're with other students, they're with sellers. I even invite people in on live seller calls so you can
Oh,
actually hear
cool.
me on the phones.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
awesome.
very interactive. And so they could go over to Facebook, check me out there. So it's My Deal Inc. That's all they got to put in on Facebook. If you forget that, just put my name in, and then you can go to my regular Facebook, and then you can link to it from there.
Cool. So they can either find you on Facebook via your personal page or My Deal Inc. if they go there. And is it Inc. INC or INK?
It's INC. Oh, that's a good question.
And there you go. Yeah, you could go either way. So
Yeah,
I like that. That's good stuff. So if you want more of Scott, head over to Facebook, look him up there, content. So that way you can know,
yeah,
like, and trust him too, because then you could see him doing his stuff
that's
right
right.
there and then see if you want to move forward from there. That's really good. Scott, this has been awesome. This is a lot
Great.
of practical value from, I love how you gave the, second deal hiccup and all the lessons learned from there. Don't know what you don't know, and you're saved from getting the people that actually do know, so you get that help. I also thought too the flexibility, that was a huge one, and then the know, like, and trust. Hang in there, don't give up, and remove that permission language. So lots of stuff learned today, lots of nuggets. So head over to his Facebook page to connect with him. If you're out there thinking too, like, what the heck, I have no idea what's going on in my business or what's going on, especially with the financial department, like, where's all my money going? I don't know what I don't know. We can save you years of your life. So go to simplecfo.com and we can put a CFO on your team, and help you get to where you know what you make, spend, and keep, because you need to keep more of it. That's what we do, and that's what we'd love to help you do. And head over to simplecfo.com. Scott, thanks again for being on this podcast and for coming on and just sharing all the wisdom that you did today.
Man, thanks. Hey, second deal was not a hiccup. It was an implosion.
It was an implosion. It was a big hiccup. It was a hiccup that lasted years.
A lot.
That also gave you lots of lots of indigestion. It sounds like, but I'm
Yes,
glad you worked through it and that you found a lot of you found all the lessons through it, which I think is
that's
really good because how we react to things, right, versus
right.
going through them. So I think you handled it very well. But this has been great, Scott. Thank you so much for all that you shared today.
You got it. Yep. Thanks.